Hey guys, Hackersploit here, back again with another video, and yes, you can finally see my face now. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's finally here. So do let me know what you think, whether you enjoy the videos like this with obviously with my face cam, or you would like a full screen tutorial video just the way I usually do them. Alright, so let's get to today's video. So today's video is going to be about ARP poisoning or ARP spoofing, and essentially how to allow or redirect packets or traffic to flow through our device, essentially performing a man-in-the-middle attack. But in this video we'll be focusing more on how ARP works and how ARP poisoning works. Alright, so you might be asking yourself, well, what is ARP? Is this the first time you're hearing about it? If it is, ARP is essentially a network protocol, and I believe it is in the OSI 2 layer. So essentially, what it stands for is an address resolution protocol, and its purpose is to resolve MAC addresses to IP addresses. All right. So when it comes down to ARP spoofing, what happens is what we are going to be doing is, and the concept behind ARP spoofing is that you're going to send an ARP response to a client. All right. So a client on the network, you being the attacker, all right, saying I am the router, all right, and then telling the client that the device with the router IP address has my MAC address. So essentially what's happening is you're the hacker or the attacker, and there's the router, and you have the client that you want to target, obviously through their IP address, and obviously this is done locally, obviously because it's on a network, right? So you are essentially telling the client, you're connecting to the client with the router's IP address, right? So you're connecting to the client with the router's IP address, which is the default gateway address, and you're telling you're essentially telling the client that I am the router and you should pass your traffic through me, right? So you're standing in between the client and the router, and obviously you've tricked the client by obviously using the router's IP address, but the MAC address will be your MAC address, and you're exploiting the ARP protocol. Because the ARP protocol, any ARP response will be trusted. So that's a very easy way of exploiting this technology or this protocol. So the tool we're going to be using is arpspoof or ARP spoof, as it's commonly known as, and it's a very powerful tool that will allow us to actually redirect traffic from clients to our device, and from that point onwards you can perform man-in-the-middle attacks and sniff the traffic. So let's get started. So I'm on Kali Linux right now, and I'm just going to open up my Terminator because I find that this is a fantastic tool that is great for this purpose, and you'll see why. So what I'm going to do is, or actually I would actually prefer to use the terminal because I can enlarge the text here, and we can have a good idea of what's going on in terms of what's being printed out on the terminal. Right, so there we are. Finally open up the terminal. That took a while for some reason, so I'm just going to zoom in. Now what we need to do first is we need to use NetDiscover. I'm going to be using NetDiscover, and you can use NetDiscover to discover the devices on your network or computers on a network that you want to perform the man-in-the-middle attack. All right, so what does this mean? So for example, I'm going to try and target my host operating system, which is right here. So I'm just going to check my IP config. There we are, and my local IP address is 192.168.1.104. All right, so I'm back in Kali Linux, and I've got the Windows on my host operating system address, and that's what I want to perform the ARP spoof on, or ARP poisoning on. So since I already know what the IP address is, we can get started. So to use ARP spoofing, it's really easy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up two terminals, because we're going to need to initialize ARP spoof twice. Okay, so let me just open this up. For some reason that's taking really long to open. I apologize for this freeze up. I should have actually opened this prior to this, but anyway, just give it a few seconds. Oops, there we are. We have some kind of graphical glitch there. All right, now let me just zoom in. Okay, so we can get started now. So what I'm going to do is to get started, it's really very simple. So we use the ARP spoof command, or ARP spoof, right? Now the commands are very simple. We use I for interface, All right, so the now this is depending on you. If you're using a Wi-Fi card, you can choose your Wi-Fi device name, which is if you're using a wireless adapter, it'll be LAN 0 or WLAN 0. And since I'm using Ethernet, I'm going to be using Ethernet 0. So those are the default hardware names given or device names given to the different network adapters that you could be using. All right, the next thing is to use the T command, because this allows us to select the target. Now, it's very, very important that since we're going to be running 2 instances of this, because we are tricking both the router and the client, that I am the router and I am the client. So you'll get the gist once we're moving along. So now we have to specify the target IP. All right, so in this instance, we're going to specify the target IP first. So that is going to be 192.168.1.106. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to target the default gateway, which is my router's IP address. All right, so essentially what we're doing here is we're essentially targeting your target or the client in which you're trying to perform the spoof attack on, the ARP spoof attack on, and we're telling that client that we are the router because we're using the default gateway's IP address. Right, so 168.1.1. All right, fantastic. Once we've hit, once this is good, so essentially, let's look at the syntax again. ARP spoof, your wireless adapter or interface name and the target, but in this case, we're using the target IP first and then the default gateway IP after that, and I'm going to hit enter. Oops. I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to start ARP spoof on that. And now for the next terminal, whoops, for some reason we couldn't, oh yeah, I actually made a mistake. The target IP is 104. Let me just try that again. There we are, fantastic, it's working now. So again, depending on what your target IP address is, you can specify that accordingly. Now on the next one, ARP spoof again. ARP spoof, the interface LAN 0, Ethernet 0 for me. Don't worry about what the other terminal is doing. That really doesn't matter, because again, it's just sending the request to the client saying that I'm the router. So we haven't completed the ARP spoof attack just yet. So now we specify the target, but in this case, now we're telling the router that I am that client. I am 192.168.1.104. All right. So we use the default gateway or the router's IP, 168.1.1. Then we specify the target's IP. So 192.168.1.104, and once that's done, we just hit enter, and it's going to complete the ARP spoofing. And now essentially all the traffic is going to be passing through us, and now you can start using tools like Wireshark to analyze or to sniff the traffic, or you can use dsniff, which is part of ARP spoof, or actually ARP spoof is part of the dsniff package. So if I open up a new terminal here, let me just see if I can open that up. So dsniff, if I just hit dsniff, whoops, let me just increase the font size here. So dsniff, right? So if I open up dsniff, it's going to start listening on Ethernet 0, and it's going to save the files or the sniffed files that it's got from that from the client that you're performing the ARP spoof on, and it'll save it in the home folder where you can find the log file for dsniff. And essentially what you can do now is open up a traffic analyzing tool like Wireshark or whatever tool you choose to use, and you can go through the packets that are being sniffed, because all the traffic from that device is passing through the attacker machine, which is what I'm using now. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below. Thank you so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, one more thing. On the website, I'm accepting articles or tutorials that you guys, if you want to post a tutorial or a guide, just write it up to me, review it, and if it's good enough or it's it's giving value to people, I'll publish it on the website under your name. So yeah, I'm hoping to make it a lot more interactive, and I'm going to be posting a lot of more tutorials on there, guides, things to help you guys get started, and things to keep you guys going in terms of learning about hacking and anything else. So if you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comment section, or you can hit me up on my social networks. And yeah, I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.